falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling. Shouldn't be trusting me, I could be making it all up, you know. Out of control, you don't know me. I'm a danger to myself. Out of control.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you are tuning in. This is Unapologetically Me, featuring me. No special guest, just me. Alright, so video 6. Here we go. This is now AHVJD, right? So if you are new here, hi, I hope you can check out some of my other videos first, because this is video 6. So I got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before this, so you might want to check those out because they do go in order. If you're looking for a different spin on somebody else's take, then you came to the right place, because I got opinions up the ass, and I'm gonna share them all with you now. So, a couple things right off the bat. Some of us have been waiting for two particular people to take the witness stand, James Franco and Elon Musk. And it's been announced, if you haven't heard already, that they have removed themselves from the witness list. And because this is not a criminal trial, they cannot be forced to testify. My opinion on that? I think that initially they were going to be testifying in order to dispel certain rumors versus facts about their relationship with AH. But I think with all the craziness going on, they just really wanted no part of it. They did not want to be wrapped up in any of it. And I can't blame them. You know, James Franco's got his own stuff going on. And Elon Musk, I mean, man, he just became CEO of Twitter. So, I mean, I'm sure he's busy. But I actually think that speaks volumes as to what they were possibly going to be testifying to. So, I don't know. It had been said that AH was having an affair with both James Franco and Elon Musk while she was married to JD. Maybe, not so much serious, but that she had been fooling around with them. And, when he would be away filming, that they would be having little sleepovers, sometimes with party favors involved. And this would take place at the ECB, their loft in LA. So there is surveillance footage of James Franco and AH in an elevator together, though it has also been said that James Franco lived in that same building. In my opinion, that's not really what it looked like in the, surveillance footage of the elevator. It looked like they were a little closer than just two people who happened to be in the same building getting in the elevator at the same time. I don't know. A little too friendly. She and Elon Musk had a relationship that began within the same month that she wrote the op-ed in the Washington Post. Now, they say that it was 2 months after, but they met in May at the Met Gala, I believe, and May 27th, they were supposedly together. So I don't know what she's talking about. But anyway, so now we are finally getting into AH's side of things. And the first witness to take the stand for her was Dr. Dawn Hughes, another clinical forensic psychologist, much like Dr. Shannon Curry, who was seated in the front row during Dr. Hughes' testimony. But unlike Dr. Shannon Curry, Dr. Hughes was nowhere near as strong of a witness, in my opinion. For one, she was extremely, extremely biased towards women being the only victims of DV. She referred several times to DV, always placing women as the victims and men as the perpetrators, basically saying that even in instances of mutual AB or reactive AB, the male always has the upper hand. Now, I obviously do not believe this to be 100% factual. I mean, have you guys seen Misery? In reference to this case in particular, she severely, severely downplayed anything that AH did to Johnny Depp. And anything that could be considered AB. It was like, yeah, but, it's almost like, yeah, but she's the girl, that's not considered, that's, and I found it very, very ridiculous and very obviously biased. And I didn't appreciate that too much. But in reference, well, okay. Many times, Dr. Hughes appeared to be reading from a script. In fact, many times she was reading directly from notes that she had taken when she had met with AH. And she'd been asked a few times by Johnny Depp's legal team to refrain from doing that. And when reviewing the notes that she had taken, there were certain areas that were left blank. Areas in the report where any specific details about the AB that happened were to be written. So specifically, what happened during this fight or argument? It was blank boxes. And she was asked about this, and she said, well, you refer to my notes. Well, it didn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. You're putting together a file, and you're leaving areas blank, and you expect people to go back and look through 29 hours worth of notes, because that's how long they met together for her to reach her conclusions, which we're about to get into. So, I'm laughing because when she wasn't reading off paper, her testimony was very shaky. And she also had this like deer in the headlights look a lot of times when she was asked questions and she wasn't able to refer to her notes. And we talked about Dr. Shannon Curry and not being board certified, and that there really isn't a big deal there. And it shows. It really does, because I believe that she is board certified, and that's why they made such a big deal about Dr. Curry, not being board certified. And it's like night and day watching them testify. So she was red like a tomato. I mean, I'm watching it live and people are commenting and they're just putting a bunch of tomatoes on the screen. And I don't know if she just had a bad tan, like maybe she went to go maybe get tan and she got burned instead or whatever. Or she was just super stressed and her blood pressure was like off the chain. But she was very, very red and seemed to get redder as the trial went on. So she testified that she had met with AH over a total of 29 hours in order to make her diagnosis. And she did not concur with Dr. Curry. And she made zero diagnosis of borderline personality or histrionic personality disorders. She did, however, diagnose AH with PTSD, which is basically the exact opposite of Dr. Shannon Curry, who stated that she did not suffer from any PTSD. In fact, she tried to act like she did during the testing, and the testing picked up on the fact that she was, in fact, faking PTSD symptoms.
I also gave her the CAPS-5. I don't know if you'll remember, but that is the clinician-administered PTSD scale consistent with the DSM-5. And on that, there were signs of gross exaggeration. I also looked at the test results that were provided by Dr. Hughes, and on an objective test of trauma, there is a scale specific to intentional exaggeration on that test, and Ms. Hurd was in the 98th percentile, meaning that she had engaged in extreme levels of exaggeration.
Thank you. You were asked about intimacy problems, relationship difficulties associated with IPV, and you then said that there were some key differences.
Yes.
What are those?
So what you see when we're talking about the personality disorders is there is a very consistent pattern of the aggression, the violence, the irritability. First of all, it's escalated. But second of all, it occurs when there is either, for the borderline component, a threat of abandonment, a perceived slight, feeling like the person is about to leave you, about to walk away to get some space from an argument. It also occurs to a more mild extent, but when there's a loss of attention and a need to manipulate to try to get that attention back. But it's not, when somebody has PTSD, that irritability is sort of at a low, constant level, or it's completely random, for instance.
And I guess the testing that they use is very, very in depth, and it can tell if you're lying. It can tell if you're faking emotion. It can tell all of these things, and that's what Dr. Curry's this, evaluation came up. In Dr. Hughes' opinion, AH was the only victim in this relationship. And that being said, I think AH's side is the only side that she heard. And even in the trial, I don't know that she's even heard any of Johnny Depp's testimony. But an important thing to note is that she was hired by AH's legal team and had worked with that legal team on other cases, and that she's also being paid, or was also being paid, $500 an hour to testify. Can you say rehearsal? Now, I'm not saying that I think it's odd or weird or inappropriate to pay a professional to testify in a trial that is taking them from work, 2 days of testimony and whatever, that they're not able to work. I understand that. $500 an hour, whoo, that's a lot. Like, you better be getting them answers right on the stand. And to be honest, I do not think she was worth $500 an hour. Shannon Curry, on the other hand, I don't know if they were paying her or not, but she deserved that money more than Dr. Hughes, in my opinion. But I'm just saying, she knew she had to get certain things correct, and I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. I'm just going to leave it at that. But she definitely believed, or did a really good job at pretending to believe every story that AH had told her. And she talked about how desperately AH had tried to fix Johnny. And that the reason, or one of the reasons that AH stayed, was because she thought that she could fix him. And I find that a little funny, considering the fact that she was taking all sorts of substances while she was with him, and drinking all sorts of substances, many times more than he was. In fact, he would have several, periods of sobriety, and she never did. And I already talked about in a video way back when how he asked her to get sober with him and be supportive in that way, and she refused. I don't have a problem, so I'm good. So, sorry that you have to abstain, but not my problem. So, AH takes the stand. And immediate questioning is about where she came from and her upbringing. And this is where a picture is painted for the jury that depicts AH as this small town girl, who worked really hard and supported her family with her earnings when she moved out to LA. A good, wholesome girl. Completely opposite from the type of woman that had been testified about so far. And one of the biggest accusations on AH's side is this SA that she had endured while being married to Johnny Depp. And there are a few different instances that she testifies to. And so trigger warning, we're going to get into it, and not a lot at all. But I am going to, somewhat explain. So we will be talking about the essay very, very short, very, very briefly, and not a lot of detail. But so one of the incidences of essay that were brought up more specifically was one where AH was in a closet, and she claimed that Johnny performed a cavity search on her. And she claimed that he was looking for his substance, Coca-Cola. And she said that she had never done Coca-Cola before and had no idea why he would be searching for this on her, because it was not her thing at all, and she wouldn't know anything about that. And I wasn't there, but it has already been testified to that she has done Coca-Cola before and even had a problem with it at one point. And we'll get into that later when we talk about Nurse Erin and some of her testimony, because that's where it comes out that, there were some issues going on here that she is not being truthful about. So I don't believe this story. I'm just going to come out and say it. It's my opinion, and I do not believe that this happened. Nor do I believe any of the stories of SA. And I know I might get some hate for that, but I don't believe it. And these are new accusations. Okay, this is one of the reasons why I don't believe it, is because these are brand new accusations. These are not accusations that she talked about in the last UK trial. This is something that came up only now when she found out that, you know, he was bringing her into court with this lawsuit. So, and another thing to note is that AH seems to be incapable of shedding any tears while crying and talking about any of this. The entire time she is crying, like she is sobbing at some points, and there's never any tears either in her eyes, falling from her eyes. There's no snot, you know, that you get. None of that. In fact, for quite some time, she is literally sobbing and never grabs the tissue, not once. And her body language, while she's explaining these horrific incidences of SA, she is, you know, talking to the jury, looking them directly in the eye, head held high, nose up in the air, you know, very confident in what she's talking about. And she also mentioned that she had never told Johnny Depp to stop any of the times that he SA'd her, that she just cried or she went somewhere else until it was over, often not remembering the incident or anything leading up to it or following it. And, you know, that can be real in real, you know, instances. And, but I don't feel it. I don't feel it with her. I do not. And I want to just stop a minute and say that while I don't believe certain things AH is saying happened, I do believe that much of the verbal and psychological things that she's saying went on did in fact happen. And I believe this because you can tell when she's acting and you can tell when she's not. It is very, very obvious. And I also want to say that if a woman says that she is being AB'd, she should be taken seriously. Always. But if it is found that she is lying, that should be taken seriously as well. It is not okay to accuse someone of doing something like this when they have not done it. I mean, you're ruining lives, you're ruining reputations, and it is extremely painful for the person to be accused of something so vile that they did not do. Now, I wasn't there. This is just my opinion, okay? I just find it ironic. The very woman or women that AH has claimed to be fighting for, and, you know, the cause that she claims to be fighting for is in existence because of women who make false claims. And to me, these are false claims. I'm sorry. It's my opinion. I know not everyone feels that way, and that's okay, but coming from someone who is a survivor of DV, I do not believe her. And I think a lot of the people that do believe her, personally, have not ever experienced these types of things. Because, man, she is one tough bee if she went through all of that and she's able to hold her head up high and not only stare the jury in the eyes when she talks about it, but stare Johnny in the eyes. The one who's looking down and, you know, timid, in my opinion, is the one who got the most wrath. And, you know, they both got it and gave it. So, in my opinion. So, I find it very strange, if not impossible, but certainly odd that she would marry him after these things were going on. And remember, Johnny Depp was in a 14-year relationship with Vanessa Paradis, and he never married her. He spoke about how marriage was a piece of paper, and that they didn't need that piece of paper. Their relationship was wonderful, and neither one of them ever felt a pressure to get married. just for that piece of paper. They had 2 children together, and he talked about how it was perfection, sitting out in the yard, watching the sunset while the kids were out playing. And then all of a sudden he does rum diary, and, you know, the kids are older now. He's older now. And, you know, maybe he's going through a bit of a midlife crisis. And, here is AH, you know, so he throws all of his beliefs out the window and marries her. It's like, what's going on here? Yet he's so AB towards her, both physically, sexually, psychologically, verbally, and she marries him. I don't understand this, because I really don't see him pushing to marry. I don't see that, but I wasn't there and I don't know. But, you know, he does this rum diary, and it's all of a sudden his new perfection is AH, is Amber. I mean, and she's so perfect in every way that he literally throws out everything with Vanessa and, you know, for this woman. And I don't know. I don't see that he was any of these horrible things to her. I'm not saying that. I mean, we all know he's got these substance issues and that he can be a real train wreck. Very, very toxic, the both of them together. I've said it a million times, but I don't see her marrying him. If this were as severe as she is making it to be at this point. So I'm going to end this video. Video 7, 8, and 9 will be coming out. I will try to get as much out as quick as possible. Now, they're on a break. So we have 10 days, nothing. So this whole week, we're done. Back on Monday. So I'm going to try to catch up with everything that I have and get everything out this week. That way we'll be starting fresh. And then the trial is supposed to be wrapping up on May 27th. So, yeah. So I will see you on the next video. And, you know, don't forget to like and subscribe. Share if you want or not, whatever. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your week if I don't see you again this week. And talk to you later.
Oh,